these Z's. Let's go into Z's and the alphas because that's the next generations, right? I think your phone has an alpha now. That'll be the part of the alpha generation.
Oh, that's what they're calling it. Okay.
Yeah. And the Z's, they started something, in my opinion. They didn't want to work. Well, not alphas because they're too young, but the Z's, my daughter, shout out Crystal. She wanted me to shout her out. I gave her a shout out.
Hello, Crystal.
But the Z's, they don't want to work. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur now.
Right.
And that to me is the beginning of the end because someone has to work, right? And that's the problem. And they want it, but here comes AI, and it's like everyone should be able to create a venture, an idea, something that they could generate revenue. But everyone's not an entrepreneur. That's just the facts. You know, if I meet 100 people, I'm going to tell you maybe less than 10 is going to be an entrepreneur. The rest is really workers. They want to just have a job and go home, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with earning a wage, taking care of your family or whatever you do, and go home, and you don't have to think about what entrepreneurs like yourself, myself, have to, all the things we have to do to keep this going. Like, again, to make a movie, raising money, and you don't want all of those stresses. And I get it. Some do, some don't. Most don't want that pressure. They say they do, but until it's time to do it.
It sounds great, but you and I as entrepreneurs know that there will be a moment where you're like, God damn, I wish I just got a steady check every month that I didn't have to worry about all this shit. There's a part of us that was just like, damn, I wish I could just sit back and then we're creating things. Again, I'm gonna shout out Diddy. Hopefully he gets free. I know the trial started. Maybe today we could get a verdict too.
I doubt it. They'll probably do 2 days.
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Well, today's Tuesday. They started.
Yeah, I think they were deliberating yesterday as well.
It might come in today or tomorrow. Yeah. But I'm only shouting them out because there's a phrase I would say that I always kept, and that's don't stop, right? That's the money. He was talking about music and everything. I'm talking about money. I want to create that don't stop. And that comes from being an entrepreneur, creating an entity that lives without you actually having to, I want you to pay that toll. Everyone got to pay the fucking toll to cross the bridge, right? Think about that. I need my Easy Pass business.
Well, okay, that's interesting that you say that because I've had this conversation with a few people in recent memory where I think everybody who does content, podcasts, YouTube videos, etc., they're all kind of imagine that there might be an end goal where you've created something that's so amazing that it can live beyond you.
Right.
And we've never really seen that work out. World Star Hip Hop, Q dies, kind of the air everything just comes out of it. Nobody really cares about it ever again as much.
Steve Jobs is not here.
Right. Doesn't really have the same feel. Yeah.
But it's still huge. It's $1 trillion business. I mean,
still huge. But take all the biggest platforms in rap. I think if I'm gone, this platform's kind of a shell of its former self. If Academics is gone, his platform doesn't matter as much. If Joe Budden's gone, his platform doesn't really make sense anymore.
A fact.
Vlad, I think Vlad would probably have the best chance because he's like off camera and everything. But still, like all these platforms.
But he is still the person stirring the pot.
Exactly. And he's tried having other people do the interviews for him. Doesn't really work out the same way. But
so Don't Stop is creating something outside of these things. Like there's businesses that won't need our presence to keep going.
Right.
Right now I started a basketball league. Clash Pro League in New York City, first basketball pro league in the city, paying all of these players that played in NCAA or overseas or pro, but just didn't get a chance to go and starting a league. And I'm going to take that league and keep one in New York, then go do one in Baltimore, one in Chicago, one in LA, because there's so many players that don't have a chance to play or make a wage from playing basketball, and that's what they did their whole life. And I see it so much in New York. I'm 40 years inside of street basketball in New York City, from Rucker Park to Dyckman Park and all these other parks inside of New York City, and seeing those players. And I had agency sports business where I'm managing or co-agenting NBA players and seeing the trials and tribulations of all the ones that fall off that didn't make it. I'm giving them a place that they can make it. And that type of business, like an NBA type business, could perpetuate and live without me, right? I could get a CEO that could run it. It doesn't need my existence or anything. It just needs someone that knows the basic principles of what I'm doing, and they could actually keep it going.
But is this almost kind of like an absurd thing that entrepreneurs float in their head, is to create something that lasts so long that it'll continue to have a lifespan past the point where we're able to be around to witness it and enjoy it?
Well, that's what we all strive for, right? That's the goal. It's like, shit, something to pass to your kids. Your 40 and a half year old, here you go. In take it and this is what daddy made for you. Here you go. That's really the goal for me. Like I got a son, my daughter, the goal is to hand them off this when I'm gone and not here and let them take it and do, you give them the goal of what your original understanding of what you want is, and then hopefully they carry that out for
you. But your kids are what age?
Oh man, 25 and 36.
Okay, see, that's interesting to me because it feels like you start a business, you think in your head it's a fantasy maybe that this will be a family business, but then when it actually comes down to it, the person who's best suited to run the business quite often is not the person who inherits it.
Absolutely. That's another problem. I just lost my brothers and
rest in peace.
That is a big deal. Like the music side, there's no one that could do what he did.
Right.
So that is a problem. Thank you for the rest of peace. He's here right now, so you could say what's up to him. He's here.
Hello, Irv. Yeah. Wait, is there anybody from your generation that built something in the music industry that really feels like, oh, this is still strong as I guess you could point to something like Def Jam or
Def Jam probably doesn't feel as strong as
at all. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But that's like the best thing I could think of. Yeah,
even Universal probably.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
but they don't probably
become a Goliath.
They have to constantly evolve with what's going on with technology and the changing times, and that's a challenge. And the temperament of these artists. I look at Universal; they don't develop anymore, and that to me was the basis of their original version of the Universal system. Right, it was developing artists and dictating who's the star. They can't do that anymore. They sit back. All of a sudden, Adam is fucking hot. He's got 10 million views. They come and sign Adam. Make you an indecent proposal.
But so that whole concept of artist development just doesn't really exist until the artist is able to show that they have some kind of ability to capture people on their own.
Yeah, that is a very challenging. Anywhere I go to get a question, they ask me about how can we fix the industry and the game, and it really goes back to a system that most independent artists wouldn't want to deal with. It has to go back to that, but it's so saturated, there's no way to do that, in my opinion. In my opinion, there's no way to go back to the way it was and developing an artist. So you have to do that as an independent, and that takes patience and capital. Who's going to keep financing you to go through the ups and downs while you're going through those ups and downs, chasing your audience in the box? I call the phone the box. That's the box,
Could you be interested enough to find a new artist and really want to put in the years of labor of building them up? Or are you at the point where you want to do things that scale better?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't think it would have to be like such a phenomenal transitional lifetime type artist to make me want to go back in and say, man, they have to be heard. And I want to help them get there. And the reason is because in the industry, you've seen it so many times and time again. And management, let's call it, is a loveless business. If you have a manager, they run through walls for you trying to, and you don't think it's enough ever as the artist. You always think it should be more. Yeah. You get your 10 million, they want 20. Like, what the fuck? I should have got 20 million. What the fuck is 10? Right. Like, they didn't want to give you 5. Yeah. They don't understand the battle. Yeah. And they always constantly wanting more and more and more. And that part of the business, I'm not with that shit.
Well, okay. Let's say you found an artist tomorrow that you believed had like a Ja Rule style run in them. Yeah. Are you?
And he's one of those type of transitional artists, someone like that.
Right. Where you would be a fool if you saw somebody who you thought had that potential to not try and help them see it through. But if you see someone like that, like now, are you thinking, oh, we're going to go sign with Universal? Or are you thinking like, no, we could do this independently at this point?
The reality of that question or that situation is typically the artist isn't developed in that fashion. You have to have the vision for them. Exactly. And know where they could take it. And then that's the part that you get scared of because you want it. Do they want it? And this always gets back to that person, that artist, that athlete. It's the same thing, in my opinion. Are they willing to put in the work to achieve the goals that we see in them, that they could attain because we see the talent? We know the landscape of the business. So you're like, man, I could do this for this artist. The question is, will the artist want that same for themselves, the work that goes into attaining that? And that I see in not only in music, but in sports the same.
Right, because there's you're just kind of asking to be placed into a situation in which you're almost like permanently frustrated. If you take on an artist, they're in their, early 20s or whatever, and then you're 40, 50 years old and you've lived for so long. It's like, this is why, having kids is frustrating as well, but you've lived for so long, you've learned so much. And you want to impart these lessons to your kids so they don't have to learn them.
Did you listen to your dad?
Or Hell no, I did everything
there
opposite.
You go.
Yeah.
So as long as you understand that as a parent, just understand that as a parent, and just you give the best advice you can, and you actually have to sit back and let them make their mistakes. Crystal.
But like, there's an artist from Northern California, EBK J-Bo, is basically like the hottest street artist for the last year or so coming out of California. He's now facing down a 30-year sentence that he's apparently going to take.
Hopefully it's not that type of mistake.
and I mean, honestly, like riding around.
I don't wish jail on nobody, so whoever that is, I wish them the best. Hopefully they could get out of that situation.
But I can imagine an alternate reality in which, like, when I met him, I just so got in his corner and I was like, you know what, we're doing this together. I'm going to build your career up, etc. And then these kind of situations arrive, and it's just like that hypothetical is almost enough to scare me off and be like, you know what, I don't think that's what I want to do with my life. Everything 420 really is the plug. They've got everything you need in one place. From top tier glass to new strains and even mystery boxes with surprise gear, their app is smooth, they ship quick, and there are always discounts going on. Use code NOJUMPER at checkout.